Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast for January 23rd, 2018. Welcome. My name is Ash, here for the Triple S League. I'm here, as always, with Cybsidian. How are you today, sir?
Hello. Doing well. It's funny to watch EA squirm under the magnascope that is Disney right now. Very interesting.
Like a worm in a frying pan.
Yeah, pretty much.
I can just see that with Mickey Mouse, standing over top, just going, except in a Mickey Mouse voice, like, and I'm not, okay. I'm never going to do that again.
This will key into what we're going to talk about later with Anthem. So, just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind.
We have got some news about stuff going on with Anthem and Destiny 2. Those things very closely related. So there's some interesting things going on with that. But first, we've got some Cyberpunk 2077 news updates. Well, actually, just mostly one news update. So it's been reported that there's going to be...
It's a confirmation. It's a confirmation. On a rumor that was out a little bit earlier and a bit of a quote. Now it's been like doubly confirmed now. So we have this confirmed. This is I can't say their names. You go ahead.
So yes. So CD Projekt Red is working with Brian Mantia and Melissa Reese, who, if you're big into music, you might recognize them as members of the rock band Guns N' Roses, and they're working with CD Projekt Red to create some original music for Cyberpunk 2077. So that's really neat. We're going to get some good quality music in that game, and pretty excited about that.
Yeah, so this was heard before about him working on the project, about Brian working on the project. Now we know for sure that Melissa's involved too. So that's both really good because they're both like really, really good musicians. And on top of this, they are confirming that they're working on stuff where they think music's going to be in 60 years from now. And the main push is going to be working on a full frequency range of human hearing. So that's like 20 hertz all the way up to 20 kVh or KHV. So that's huge. That's like, oh my goodness gracious me. That's going to be some very interesting music. I can imagine that either being absolutely terrible or absolutely awesome. I don't know which yet because I haven't heard a sample of what they're going for. So the trailer song was great. Bullets was a great song. And I really like that they went with a small time like punk band to do it. It was a really good hit. On top of that, like where they can go from here, I'm hoping for a new brand of the next like techno kind of synth stuff. So we'll see. It'll be really interesting.
And also for you Cyberpunk fans, if you are just need a Cyberpunk fix before the actual Cyberpunk 2077 comes out, there's a new game out on Steam right now. It's called the Red Strings Club. It is in the Cyberpunk genre, and it looks really interesting. It's kind of a simple pixel-based pixel art kind of a game, kind of like Last Night, but actually even a little more detailed than that. Anyway, I haven't had the chance to try it myself, but our reviewer Jamie has been playing it, and she's really enjoying it. And we're going to have a review out for it soon, but it looks really interesting. You can check that out on Steam. It's called the Red Strings Club, and it is 15% off right now. So, and it just came out yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. There were two games that came out between yesterday and today that I want to try, and unfortunately, neither one of them are under $20. So that's the downside. So I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't spend $50 today on games, but I don't know. We'll see. The Cyberpunk game looks really, really, really good. The what's it called again? The Red
Strings Club.
Red Strings Club. I just looked at that like a couple of hours ago, and it looks really, really interesting. It looks really, really fascinating. So I'm I'm down to hear hear more on it and then give it a good review. So
well, it's from Devolver Digital as well, which is a fairly reputable publisher of indie games. So.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk about the big news today. So, as you can see, our headline is Anthem been saved by Destiny 2? And how on earth would that work? What do the two even have to do with each other? So, Cyb's been digging into this and is going to fill us in. So, what's been going on?
So this is hilarious because you can basically say that Destiny 2 has been saved by is standing in a much better position than they were 6 months ago, primarily due to the failings of Destiny 2. Anthem, 6 months ago, was being examined and said, look, they sacrificed Mass Effect for this game. This is a stupid microtransaction based online, MMO basically, and there's nothing really, standoutish about it at all. And so that was the prevailing thought from a lot of people, and it was making a lot of people very nervous that happens to work at Bioware, and there was some freaking out going on, just a little, a lot, and so there's been really positive news lately. For one of the things, they've managed to get the game up to a really good position. This is coming from a little social media blib they did the other day. They had an internal testing showcase where they showcased the state of the game and whatnot. And the vast majority of everybody saying that this is turning out to look and be an amazing game with an amazing possibility and also lots and lots of fun. So if that's true, then, I mean, if you're looking at the legions of people who are dropping Destiny 2 right now and going to a bunch of other games, which we'll talk about in a minute, this is a really good thing for Anthem. This is a huge thing for Anthem. It's not so good for Destiny 2, but this is huge for Anthem, because if people are looking for that, online shooter, MMO-ish kind of experience, then this is definitely going to be for them. Plus, it is on new tech, and it's got some really amazing graphics, both in and outside of combat. They've got some really good story content planned, apparently. We don't know anything on that, so if they drop the ball there, then that's not good. But overall, this is putting them in a much better position. And not only the incompetence from Bungie with Destiny 2 right now, but also in the front of the video game, kind of where EA is with their video games right now. EA needs a big win. They miserably dropped the ball on Battlefront 2, which we've discussed many times, and they've been hit on this whole, hey, you have done absolutely crap work on the whole Star Wars thing as a whole, right? You've done horrible there. We're not really happy with your progress there, and so Disney's giving them a hard time. EA's structure is under a significant amount of pressure to deliver a hit in 2018, like a really solid hit that is not a sports game. So basically, they're in a position now where EA does like to kill off studios. That's not a secret. They do it intentionally. They do it with full knowledge on why they're doing it. They're specifically getting into these games getting into these studios to rip them apart and then take their assets. I don't know why anybody would sell their studio to EA. A good chunk of their studios have been usurped out of the control of the original leads. A lot of the developer staff has been replaced, and it's just a horrible prospect. I don't know why anybody would do it, even for the money. Like I have no idea why anybody would do it. It's just sad in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, and Destiny 2 failing, so EA needing to make this really, really good. Destiny 2 being, giving them potentially a big audience, because right now streamers and YouTubers and generally people are not watching this content. The views have dropped on Destiny 2 significantly. So they're needing to find a new direction, a new concept, and a new injection of stuff. So there's a lot of streamers who are moving on to other games. And so this is where we find out, well, what other games are they playing? And some of the more common games that Destiny 2 streamers are switching to is Fortnite, Overwatch, and of all things, World of Warcraft, which is very interesting. The prevailing theme among several of them that I've been able to find so far. And what this means is that Activision doesn't really care if Destiny 2, they care. Obviously, they want to make money off the game, but they're like, well, if the people who are leaving this game are heading over to our other games, then we don't really care.
It's not such a bad thing, I guess.
It's not such a bad thing. So the pressure for Destiny 2 to shape up has been a little less than what it could potentially be. Right. So,
okay, so Destiny 2, of course, Anthem was going to be a direct competitor to Destiny 2.
Yes.
And so you're saying that in addition to being looking like it might be a lot better than we were originally thinking, Anthem's going to have a large potential audience in former Destiny 2 players who have just abandoned that game.
Yeah, there's a strong potential for that. So if Destiny comes out and in your guild, in your group, in your friends group, 4 out of 7 or 8 people go and hop into Anthem, well, you're most likely, there's a good chance that you'll follow, especially if you're playing Destiny 2 to play with them because you like a shooter and you like loot pinatas and the loot grind, and you switch over, you say, oh sure, I guess I'll try it out, and you switch over and you go, wow, this is really cool. Well, then you're gonna end up staying there with your friends. My brother plays a ton of Destiny, and a lot of his friends are very annoyed currently with the game, and they're looking at moving over to a new title. And so he's already said that he'll move over with them if they pick something that he's interested in. He'll pop over with them.
Right.
So that's the big thing right now. So we're looking at potentially a revital, kind of like this new blood being infused into some of these new games. So Anthem is probably will gain the most out of this. But we could also see a World of Warcraft boost, because this will probably, like, the fact that they've been putting out so much news on the next expansion, which is going to feature like 6 new additional races. They've never done more than 1 race before. In fact, it's usually 1 race every 2 expansions. But now they're doing 6 brand new races, and we'll probably, from what we're hearing, we'll probably see like another 2 or 3 more on top of that by the end of that cycle for that one. So that's huge.
Right.
And then, and like I said, they're with Activision. Activision likes it when more people sign up to World of Warcraft, because that thing has been a money cow forever.
Right.
That thing has never had a bad year because of the like 10 million plus people who still play it today, which is unbelievable. So that in combination with the fact that streamers and YouTubers, especially YouTubers, are looking for games that are a little bit more friendly to be monetized. And the thing that's interesting to note is that the combat is not the same, in the sense that in Destiny 2 you have guns. It's all about the guns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Anthem it's all about the suits. And so one of the things that's been noted is that some of the gameplay for Anthem is easier to pass by the auto checks that are created by YouTube, because it doesn't feature a gun, it features a battle suit, and these are all things that are helping Anthem a little bit. Okay. Even if you have a little bit of a push here and a little bit of a push here and a little bit of push, those little pushes do help significantly.
So that may help Anthem's sales, but let's talk about the game itself. Now, so you were saying some stuff has come out, and they've been doing some trials and things, and it's looking like it could be a really fun game. But this is EA we're talking about, and we and a lot of gamers don't trust them worth anything right now. So are we sure that it's not going to be a microtransaction riddled sack of turds?
Well, we know we're pretty confident on that because they have really they've moved away from that quite quickly. They moved away from that when the whole Battlefront thing happened. We have a fair bit of confirmation from a number of different sources where they one of their main developers said, "Oh yeah, we're not really focused on that kind of monetization system. The whole like EA's match pre-planning system that they were creating." One of the leads at Bioware said, "We are definitely not using this technology in the thing, so you won't have your games rigged by the computer to find the best way to make you spend money on the game." That's been they've said that it's not in the game. Whether or not it's not in the game, we don't know yet because we'll have to see.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, it's not the first time Bioware has lied to us in the last 12 months. So
Bioware, EA, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, EA's pulling the strings. They are. Even if Bioware pushes back, and I say that because they've had a pretty good reputation up until this point. Up until the Mass Effect fiasco. But, EA is pulling the strings. And 4 months from now, they could be like, oh, our analysts showed that, people enjoy games more when they have to put 5 cents on their credit card every 30 seconds. And,
when we're mind controlling them, people enjoy the content better because we're mind controlling them. That kind of garbage is so between all of this stuff, what we're hearing, and between the fact that that the employees at BioWare I have a couple of sources inside the company, and several of them have said that they're not worried about it. There's no leaks in that. That's also been confirmed by many of their Twitter feeds, that they really do feel that the community will enjoy Anthem once they get their hands on it. Okay. Whether or not people will still boycott them because of what they did to Mass Effect remains to be seen, obviously. And definitely, I think that there's a strong chance that BioWare is undercutting or under. They're not expecting the amount of crap they'll get for Mass Effect. So I think quite strongly that they're going to be faced with this the community is still mad at you kind of aspect. So they're going to have to go extra far to win them back. And there are some people who are, I know several people who are not going to buy another BioWare project for anything else than 80% off in a sale. They've said straight out, I will give them another chance when they offer me a game for free that they've worked on really, really hard and is really, really good. I have no interest in handing them money on release date for any of their projects going forward because they need to be punished. That's the reaction from gamers that I know all over the place. And the reaction from a lot of people is, look, these guys are idiots. They threw our beloved series in the trash after the last time we warned them in Mass Effect 3. We warned them that time to not screw with us. We warned them to, be better. And then 5 years, and it's not that they're better, they're even worse now. They're a joke. Like there was no excuse for that kind of stuff. And I understand that kind of mentality. I understand the concept behind that, and I understand why people are upset. So yeah, I can get that. I can understand, and it's something that trust me, I know the feeling, and I know that people are upset, and that's okay. It's okay to be it's okay to be peeved off at this.
That Mass Effect Andromeda wound is not one that's going to quickly heal. That's for sure.
No.
Darth
It's
Raver
really
in chat is like, oh, Mass Effect, heavy sigh. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's such a fantastic IP that just got trampled on, and it is really frustrating to see that happen. So
I mean, one of the big things for number 3 was the fact that they put it over. Like, you can't play it on Steam. You have to play it on their own little Steam system package thing, and then they didn't learn from that. They didn't. It's about freedom. It's about reaching out to people. It's about, all this kind of stuff. And EA's just constantly ignored it again and again and again and again and again. And we've talked about this kind of stuff to death, but it's like, at some point, they're going to realize that they really have to try really, 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 really hard. And I think they're going to be able to do that. It's looking like they're going to create a really good product. How long it stays free and unaffected by the really terrible microtransactions, I don't know. I really don't know. It could be that they'll do it this way, and then the first expansion out of the gate in a year or so is going to feature, like, loot piñata.
Well, I'd like to think that they've learned from their mistakes, and they won't go go back to that. But on the other hand, this is the company that tried to tell us that unlocking, spending 13 million hours to unlock Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader was about giving us a sense of pride and achievement. And
oh yeah. So. And hey, the reason why we don't have character customization is we don't want Darth Vader in a pink suit. But Darth Vader fighting Yoda with Darth Maul in the mix, yeah, that's totally fine because of lore. Goodness sakes, it's that was probably the most pathetic thing I've ever heard from any company ever.
Yeah, well, the things they have to come up with to cover their butts when they know that they're busted. They know that, like, we know what's really going on. Like, come on.
Yeah. So we'll see with this. Basically, there's a lot of positivity around Anthem that's building from people who are looking for a replacement to Destiny 2. They're looking for a new game that they can play with their friends. They're looking for a new kind of semi MMO RPG-ish kind of feeling. Like, the need is there. We're seeing certain markets being filled by this vacuum that's been created by Destiny 2 not performing at its best, by missing a lot of their best concepts from number 1. And now they're spending so much time and energy making Destiny 2 more like Destiny 1. So as long as Bioware and EA can capitalize on this and get this game into our hands by early this fall, they can really capitalize on it. I would, if I were them, I would start getting some major playtests set up, and if they're really set that this is going to be good, they need to give as many people they can a free, unimpeded, unstress test play weekend as they possibly can. And the more people you can get that to, the chances are that you're going to sell that many more copies. But we'll see, because we're still a little ways away from it, getting out there. So, things can still go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm hesitantly optimistic, but we'll see. Like, I definitely won't be rushing into Anthem, aside from we're gonna have to do stuff for the channel with it, obviously. But
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a good possibility. If the game is halfway decent, sure. If it's looking like it's going to bomb from day one, or even before day one, then I think we're just going to say, sorry, we love you, but I mean, your stuff's crap lately. So,
well, like I said, cautiously optimistic. I think
that's a great way to put it.
Xerxes in chat. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize. When I sat down early this AM before work to game for an hour, I was going to start up Andromeda again at the 15-hour mark now, and even though I know it gets better, I started a new Dragon Age Inquisition game instead.
That's the other thing I want to comment on, like the feeling. I think I mentioned it before on one of the other podcasts, but the feeling you got from watching the trailer to Dragon Age Origins, the feeling that you had in that is just so cool, and they kept with that a little bit more in Inquisition than they did in number two. Number two, they really didn't. I really didn't feel that feeling from that. It was still, I still thought it was a pretty interesting game narrative wise. It was really interesting. I liked the whole dwarf telling the story thing. I know some people hated him, but I really liked the jokes that he made, the impression that he gave. Now, mind you, I've only played through the game once, so maybe that says something about my appreciation of it, having spent only like 80 hours in that game, whereas I have spent close to 3,000 in Skyrim, for blood's sakes. So yeah, I don't know about that so much so.
Right. Well, that's about all we have to talk about from news for this week. Is there anything on your minds? Let us know. You can mention in chat if there's anything you'd like to discuss. Any news topics from this past week that are of interest to you. Has anyone out there seen the movie Bright on Netflix? Let us know your opinion of that.
I thought it was great.
I did too.
Apparently the reviewers did not. So
I mean, I had my issues with it. I really enjoyed it overall, and I watched it with my wife, and she said I wanted to enjoy it, but it just moved too fast, and like she had a hard time keeping up with figuring out who all the characters were and what the different factions were at play, and
it definitely would have been better as like a 4-part series or something like that.
Yeah, I was thinking a TV miniseries. Like there was just way too large of a world that they were trying to mash into a 2-hour movie. Now they are making some sequels for it, but even the story, like the plot, was just you were constantly. It was just changing gears every 3 minutes, and I really liked it. But definitely, have a coffee and make sure you're good and alert and get a good night's sleep before sitting down to watch that one. It's very fast paced and there's a lot going on, and but there's also a lot you don't see. Like they seem to have this hugely fleshed out world that just you only see a small fraction of it. You only see a small fraction of the races that are mentioned and things like that. Which I get, there's only so much they can do. But as a fan of Buffy and Angel back in the day, and
that's the one thing I do want to say about Bright. That would make such an awesome game world. Seriously.
Yeah, it would. This is the first time that the urban fantasy setting, like since Angel ended back in like the early noughts, as some people call them, early 2000s. This is the first sort of modern urban fantasy setting that I've thought really works well. My wife and I were into Grimm for a while. Enjoyed that. It was not bad. I lost interest after a couple of seasons, but the Bright I really enjoyed. I don't know why it's getting such bad reviews. So I can definitely recommend that one if you have Netflix. Definitely have a watch. and let us know what you thought. So, all right. Well, I guess we can wrap it up there.
Little bit shorter today than normal, but that's fine. Okay.
Everyone's sleeping this afternoon or something. Oh, hi, Axel. Hi-oh. Hope you're all having a good day. Yeah.
My dog's just woken up from their...
Slow news week this week.
Well, January's are typically like that. Like, yeah. It's typically very much like that. We should be hearing something new from Cyberpunk in February. Not necessarily something official, but we should definitely be hearing some new leak-ish thing. So keep tuned here if you want that info served up as fast as possible. We will always cover that as quickly as we can. So,
absolutely. Circes is asking, well, what is Bright about? Oh, okay. So, Bright is sort of your typical sort of D&D fantasy concept, with orcs, elves, dwarves, humans, all those different races, but brought into modern day. And so all these different races, live together in sort of modern day culture. Yeah, I felt it was done really well. There are times when that kind of thing has been tried and has not worked all that well, but it was really well. It's really funny too. And it's Will Smith, and that might be why it's a movie instead of a miniseries. Like, they could, I don't know if they ever considered doing it in a miniseries format, kind of like the Marvel series is, but they probably couldn't get a big name like Will Smith or something like that. Have you played Doki Doki Literature Club? I have not personally. Saib, you played it, didn't you?
Yes, I played it for... so back in October, we had our scary games. Ash played a horror game. What was the game that you played?
Oh, I was playing The Evil Within 2.
Yeah, he played The Evil Within 2, and I played Doki Doki Literature Club. And I gotta say, between the two of them, Doki Doki Literature Club was definitely more horrifying than anything that Evil Within 2 could possibly throw. Evil Within 2 is like, oh, there's demons and crazy things and mental things and all that kind of stuff. Oh, really? Well, Doki Doki had an insane god who was trying to fuck with you, not only in the game, but also in real life. So yeah, it's no comparison.
I have not played it, but I've been watching Markiplier play it, and yeah, gotta say, it goes dark so fast. There's so little of a heads up, aside from the fact that he actually gives you a heads up, and you're like, by the time you're like 10 minutes into the game, you're like, what was that heads up for about depression and anxiety and scary things? That's not in the game. This game is all cute and fluffy, and oh my, suddenly there's a corpse, and it's like, okay, not yeah. So much reading though. Wow.
A lot of reading. Yeah.
It's which I guess, it really creates the and actually it was really well written. Like the dev didn't cheap out, and try to make it a cheap thrill. Like he crafted this entire very well written scenario, well written thing that could be a visual novel. Like it could be just a really good game just on its own without the whole creepy horror stuff creeping in. Just the whole situation he crafted was really well done, I thought. Not my cup of tea in terms of games that I normally play, but I was very impressed by the writing. And then this is then all that stuff comes in, and we won't spoil anything, but Axel says, Doki Doki is my personal game of the year. even though I don't really consider visual novels as full video games. Well, fair enough. That's the one thing I notice about it is, like, it's like a story that plays out in front of you. There's very little in terms of choices to make or actual input from the player. Now, there must be something, because, well, Axel even says here, I'm going to soon be starting my playthrough for the happy ending, so there must be multiple endings.
Oh, yeah. You got to play through it a couple of times. And what's funny is, like, you literally play through it a couple of times straight. And then the game erases itself from your computer once you get the happy ending. So just a heads up on that. Once you finish the game will uninstall itself from the computer, and then it leaves a hidden file somewhere on your computer that makes it so you can't play it again. And even it also leaves a thing in Steam where you can't download it again from Steam. So just a heads up that once you're done with it, you're done with it.
Well, then how do you get the multiple, like, how do you experience multiple endings?
There's the game is meant to be played several times over, and each progression of when you get to a new proper ending, it progresses the story as a whole to the point where at the end, when you do get the final ending and the game gives you the final, like, best ending, and you've played through all the other stuff, you've kind of had to up to that point, but once you do that, that's when the game has its official ending, and it also uninstalls itself from your computer.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about, because I think, yeah, that happened. Like, there was this point where Mark, all his save files were suddenly gone, and then he had to start from the beginning, and things were different.
Spoiler alert. The thing inside the game that's doing it to you actually does that throughout the thing, is like constantly screws with your saves and does a bunch of other stuff. So
that I gotta say, there's just something
the fourth wall breaking is
so creepy about that concept, about something being alive and conscious inside your video game. And now I used to follow this series called Creepy Gaming that used to just look at creepy things in gaming, hence the title, Creepy Gaming. But like, there was this legend of a haunted Ocarina of Time cartridge once, or might have been Majora's Mask. I think it was Ocarina of Time though. About this this kid who drowned, and then his like ghost or whatever was inside of this this N64 cartridge, and anyone who played it, like, there was this weird character that would just appear, and when you talk to it, it would just say, like, "Ben drowned" or something like that. So creepy. Turned out in the end that it was actually just a ROM hack somebody made, like any videos about this. It was, but still, just oof. Yeah.
I can't wait for the day the AI gets good enough to, like, hack in or pull some information from you to find out, like, what your name is, who you are, like, how many people are in the room, and then for the game, like, in the middle of the narrative, you know, it's been a normal narrative for, like, suddenly, you know, the scary creature or whatever to, like, turn to you, like, face the camera, and then, you know, like, "I know you're there," and then uses your name, and, like, "and I know you're alone," or if you're streaming, it's like, "and I know you're streaming," and then, like, starts to, like, interact with the stream. Like, there will be a day when this happens, and just the chaos that'll create from it, I'm sure, will be followed with many, many lawsuits. But yeah, just amazing.
Something like that in I think it was God of War, or it might have been a different game. Anyway, I read an article about it. Oh, this was a long time ago, but they had sound files, like spooky sound files, of this guy saying a whole bunch of the most common names, and then the game would somehow, you know, look at your computer and, like, figure out what your name is, and then at some point it would start, like, just in the background, in the midst of this creepy music, this creepy voice would start saying your name. That's got to be that probably caused some people to need to change their underwear.
That's why you name your my computer something like, Mr. Bigglesworth.
Mr.
Yeah, let's go with that. I was going to go with something a little bit more bad, but yeah, YouTube, we're advertiser friendly. So that way, if you hear Mr. Bigglesworth,
there's
that
no
works.
way to say that and make it sound scary.
No, there really isn't. On top of the fact, like I got one of those personal assistant things for Christmas, and I like the concept. I do like the concept. I know that they constantly record a lot of stuff and send it to advertisers, and there's been tests where they've proven that this works. They have a family who doesn't have a cat or a dog or something, and they don't mention anything about it. But then 1 week all they do is they just talk around the device without activating the device. They just talk around the device about, oh yeah, we totally need dog food, and a dog bed, and this and that. They don't have a dog, but suddenly shows up in their in all their suggestions. Oh, do you need dog food? Do you need a dog kennel? How about a leash? Do you have a leash? Do you need a leash? Yeah. And it's that kind of stuff is like, we know it's there. And from the NSA thing that was dropped last year, we know that even your bloody televisions will do that, and a lot of your smartphones will do that. And that have that capability built into them. And of course companies use it to make money. Why else would they do it? Of course they're looking to make money off of their clientele and users. So yeah, it's not a surprise, because there's a lot of money to be made in passive advertising like that. And it is, in some cases, it's helpful. My water heater blew last year, and it was a very frazzling day. It was not fun, because it literally blew. So I had so much fun cleaning that mess up, and I was got in the car with a relative who came to help me, and I'm like, okay, now I got to find a water heater. And first thing I pulled up was a suggestion for water heaters in my area. So it was handy in that regard, very briefly, but also really creepy that it knew that I needed that, considering that I hadn't sent a dang thing anywhere to anybody about that. But it's like, oh, you need a water heater. Here, I'm helping you. See, I'm helping. It's like Jarvan. I'm helping. No, you're being really annoying and creepy and whatever. So, yeah. Yes, I do feel there's another reason why you should feel bad for some new PC gamers. I have just discovered that the price of video cards is through the bloody roof thanks to bitcoins. It's really annoying. The prices are ridiculously high right now, and it will probably stay that way because the whole currency system is potentially a bubble. I won't comment on whether I think it is or not, but for whatever reason now, in some cases there are whole countries that are devoting giant warehouses into the farming of this virtual currencies. So the cost of everything, especially video cards, which are basically built for it, is going through the roof and will probably continue to go through the roof. But the companies who are creating the cards are not necessarily willing to go out on a limb and quadruple production, because it costs them a lot. And then if the bubble bursts tomorrow, then they basically committed themselves to making a bunch of products at a cost of 10, and now they have to dump them at a cost of 5, right? So when that happens, that's something that they don't want to have to deal with, that kind of a thing. So
yeah,
it's a little crappy right now. I wish I had bought my new vid card last month, or like 2 months ago. Really should have upgraded then. Anyways,
so Axel, you
100,000 GPUs.
Some Chinese guy contacted. I'm guessing you mean contracted a Danish retailer to buy 100,000 GPUs. Luckily, they declined. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, we're just in the chat here. They're talking about the price of video cards and stuff like that, and oof, yeah, it's bad right now, and hopefully it'll get better, and I think it will, but you know, yeah, it's a bad position to be in. Anyways, I think that is that. Thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely, thank you very much, everybody, for listening in on the Augmented Reality Podcast. So we'll be back next week at this time. So we're going to be streaming regularly at this time, Tuesdays, starting at 12 Pacific time.
For the next couple of weeks at the very least, and we'll also be doing some more live streams in the evening, playing a couple of different games. So we got a couple, and then on top of For the King and a couple others that you might be interested in. So tune in, watch.
So, yeah, absolutely. So, thanks for sticking it out with us, despite the relative scarcity of things to talk about. But there's a lot of exciting things to look forward to here in 2018. It's going to be exciting. Check out our YouTube channel if you're listening on one of the audio platforms. Check out our YouTube channel, the Triple S League. You can support us by installing a free app on your phone or tablet through our Gawkbox link, which you'll find in the description. It's a great way to support content creators without spending a dime, so you can check that out. For now, I'm Ash on behalf of Cyb. We will talk to you later. Have a good day.